2, 1, live.
Going live. The Atheist Brunch. It's 10:30 on a Sunday. That's 10:30 Central Time here in the good old U.S. of evangelism. 11:30 in New York time, and give it a couple of seconds. A couple people on board. All aboard! That's right. Get your asses on the train. Find a seat. Respect social distancing. Wear your masks. If you're too stupid, have not gotten vaccinated yet, and you're still infectious, then stay the fuck away from people, please. And we're ready to go. I'm gonna grab the old engineer hat. Oh, gotta put up on the shelf for a minute. Take off the conductor hat as people get on the train, and put on the engineer hat that everyone's so familiar with. I took the hat off for the green screen video I did, and people were like, "I didn't recognize you, man, without the hat. I didn't know it had become such a thing." But we're also on YouTube, which I try to remember, and I don't know what's up with the chats if anyone's going to come.
Oh, I can jump on that with you
or not. But if you can watch that, I'm in the studio with producer Jay, as always on Sunday morning, ready to entertain and take your questions and talk shit about religion or whatever it is you want to talk about. Honestly, I love answering the pop culture questions. That turns me on too. But yeah, the hat, it really is not attached to my bald ass head. It's just a hat. So when I take it off, that's what I look like. And I don't really need the glasses either. Because I got someone else reading the questions in the comments today. So give shout outs too to who's joining if you can when you see them.
Yeah, I was just saying,
Jason, I like to see
non-crazy cat lady wanted to know if we could see her comments, and we can.
Yes. The Danish dumpling is here, and we can see your comments on the live chat. I don't know. She's probably wondering about her channel because she got kicked off for 24 hours.
Oh, really?
From commenting. Yeah, because she said something like, what was it? I forget now. It was something non-offensive. It was like, I can't even believe my brain. She told me this morning what it was, but it was like one of those, just like a normal thing. And somebody got offended, I guess, about it. And so she got a ban for 24 hours. Wrote an email. I didn't know you could actually write an email when you complain. I just had a little button when you want to dispute it. You just like hit a button and then I look at it closer, I guess.
So we got Richard Hitchens, who's surprised that you're bald.
You're surprised I'm bald?
All right, maybe it
surprised me when I was going bald at 21. Let me tell you that. But thanks, Richard Hitchens.
Atheist Hub is saying hi.
What's up, Hub? My boy. Welcome aboard.
Keisha Hendricks, 80.
Keisha, thanks for coming on, Keisha. It's Atheist Brunch, and I got a nice yogurt with granola. Creamy yogurt, crunchy granola. One of my favorite combos.
Blaze it like 9/11's here.
Blaze it like 9/11. I wish I could blaze anymore. I had to get off of the weed. I love marijuana.
Reboss says good morning.
Reboss, good morning. Yeah, I love marijuana so much that I just, it was taking over my life. And getting older, I figured I'd try to clean up my act a little bit. And now that I'm like over the craving, I don't want to do it because I figure I'll go right back to wanting to do it every goddamn day. Which I can't say anything bad about it other than it's not good to smoke anything, and sooner or later you take a risk, especially when you smoked as heavy as I did for a long time. But I'm a big fan. Marijuana, opens the doors of perception, much like psychedelics.
Keisha Hendricks wants to know if you do edibles.
Yeah, I don't not do edibles. They never turn me on as much as just burning some good flower, man. Edibles I find to be a little bit of a weaker buzz because I was hardcore. Let me tell you, man, I needed to pound that shit. I can really blow, Keisha, and so edibles, yeah, they're fun, and I've had some good edibles where I was like, whoa, that like hit me right away. If somebody really knows how to make some brownies. But in general, gummies and stuff, I find that a waste of good weed, man. It's better to just like smoke that shit up.
Helen Wonderly says hi from the UK.
Hello from the UK, Helen Wonderly. What a cool name that is. What if your name was Wonderly, Jason? Jason's not going to say his name. I keep forgetting to do that, man.
You can say that's fine.
No.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah, because he got one of those last names too. But we'll leave that out because we don't want people stalking him.
Iraqi Kurd says good morning.
The Iraqi Kurd, man, are you really a Kurd? How's it going over there, man? That's rough. Shout out to the Kurds. They have a funny name, but they've been taking it in the behind from Islamic Iraqis, right? In northwestern Iraq, am I right? Are you really a Kurd, buddy? Weigh in on that, and what's that like? How's that going? If you are, those are the kind of religious minorities I feel bad for. I mean, The Yazidi up there. We did a couple of shows on the Yazidi back at the old show in Milwaukee when I was involved with Mythicists, who no longer exist. We talked about the Yazidi, and it's a wonderful, wonderful old faith with a really instinctive feel for the creation of the universe. Their creation story actually reflects the Big Bang. It reflects what we know about the Big Bang, and they're the victims of a genocide, basically, at the hands of Islamic fundamentalists. Speaking of Islamics, got another kind of a passive threat from somebody for the green screen video I did, which thanks everybody for liking that. If you like that one, it was fun.
You
Who's
got a
calling
phone
me?
call. I don't know. It's just a number, but I don't know how to
Oh, fuck them.
yeah,
It'll go away if you flip it up. Maybe, I don't know. Who's calling during my live stream? That's disrespectful. Talk about disrespectful. But yeah, no. I included like a little clip of a video of the Muhammad myth about the flying donkey in the green screen video that was largely, taking the piss out of the Bible. And a couple of people noticed and were like, "Oh man, you're glad you don't live in Paris, or people would hurt you." And I am. I'm glad I don't live in Paris because there's too many Muslim extremists in Paris. It's too easy for those people to get there and blow shit up and show up at your work and try to shoot you, man. Because it's the religion of peace, but they'll come and kill you if you make fun of a guy who's been dead for 1,400 years.
All right, we got some more comments. When Brebros says, "What's on the agenda for today?"
No agenda, man. I'm one of those guys that can just fucking talk. If you come up with something to talk about, then put it out there, and someone's generally got to shut me up after 5 minutes of going on about it with a different question or something else. But I did want to bring up freedom from religion won a victory in Texas. There's a local judge of some district court in Shitburg, Texas, who opened every court session with a prayer. Some sensible person in Texas finally complained, wrote a letter, did what they had to do to get FFRF to sue, and the judge lost. He lost his ability to open his court sessions with a prayer. So yes, victory for the Establishment Clause, victory for separation of church and state, because this is the shit you got to watch out for. You're in Shitburg, Texas. You're in buttfuck, Arkansas. You're in small town Iowa. You're in some backwater one-horse town in America, and someone with that kind of power will misuse their position to impose religion, and specifically Christianity, on the rest of us. It has no place in the courtroom. It has no place in government. And I'm surprised that we allow judges to be Christians at all. If it wasn't for the fact that judges are fairly educated and they seem to be able to leave their religion at the door better than some other people who are like doctors who are maybe, not treating people certain ways because of their religious beliefs. Judges, I think in general, are able to interpret the law separate from their moral inclinations due to their religion. But I wonder how we trust judges to be impartial arbiters of the evidence when they already believe something for which there is no evidence. I think that's kind of a paradox. It's hard for me to believe that we trust people to be judges of right and wrong when they can't even distinguish fact from fiction. So I always found that troubling, especially when you look at the Supreme Court and the you got people in the Supreme Court that are like this. They're like, I like beer. That's what you want on your Supreme Court, is a guy who I want beer, can't even articulate himself when he's under scrutiny and under questioning from Congress. What a bonehead that guy is. And this Amy Homely Barrett, whatever her name is, one look at her and you can tell she's a beady-eyed Karen who's a fundamentalist Christian. Why is a person like that on the high court of the land? It's disgusting to me. So there you go. If you actually take it a step further and you sue for against these people who are trying to impose religion on their local government and trying to affect the local populace in that way, you can win. And so the more of us stand up to that kind of crap, the better it works out for all of us. So give your $50 to Freedom from Religion Foundation. It's only $40 if you're a person. You can let your whole household join for $50, which is cool. And then they get 4 or 5 names or how many kids you have on their rolls, and it really helps. They're out there doing actual work for the secular community. Love you guys at ffrf.org.
Do you want to try cruising through some? I'll just read off some
Yeah,
comments
go.
and see how that goes. Okay. Real Crack Smoker says, hello from your mother's house.
If you're with my mother, then I'm sorry for you, man. And if you're smoking crack, enjoy it, man. But crack kills. Crack kills.
Drugs are bad.
Yeah, and my mother is a big time born again Christian who's not having sex with you. But that's funny. I like that.
HB 808s, Thomas or Percy?
Percy, buddy. Percy. His eyes move when he goes down the tracks. He's like, and we're getting ready. We're close to making videos with the model train.
Terrible Tyga says good morning.
Terrible Tyga. Love Tygas, the biggest cat.
Mighty Mike 2 says Kansas
Mighty
City
Mike.
in the house.
KC. Sorry about that. Is it getting hot down there yet? Ooh, KC, a hot town in the summer. Back of my neck getting sweaty and gritty. Dirty and gritty. They call it the city of fountains. You imagine that? You've been to Kansas City. It's either like the slaughterhouse of the world or the city of fountains. Like, wouldn't you think that like Rome or Paris or someplace like that would be the city of fountains? But like, apparently they have like a shit ton of fountains around the city in Kansas City. I've been there a couple times, and they do. They have some fountains.
Knowledge for America says God is real.
Knowledge for America says God is real. That doesn't even go together. That's dumb. That's religion for America, which we got plenty of and we don't need. Thanks, man.
Atheist Hub says, I like your shirt.
Thank you. You get the shirt at atheistunderground.com/ cafepress.com. Duh. cafepress.com/atheistunderground gear. Order the shirt for yourself.
Gun6532 says choo choo.
Choo choo.
Wug says the idea that we have roles in national jurisdictions that you keep your whole life is weird. I think talking about Supreme Court.
Yeah, that's dumb. That's dumb. Not sure why that is.
I'm not sure exactly what this means, but Spilled Leaves says weird you're not critiquing literally any other Supreme judge. I get it. I'm at boomer shit. So I guess that you made fun of those 2 Supreme judges, but there's not that many. So I mean that's what is that like?
That's like a quarter of them or more. But yeah, those are the ugliest examples. And Scalia died. So Anthony Scalia died after a lifelong battle with social progress. That was one of the funniest quotes I saw after that shitbird died. So good riddance to him. But yeah, I think it's what 5-2 now conservatives over, isn't it? They have a ridiculous majority, and that's not impartial. That's not nonpartisan. They've been doing a decent job, I have to say. That they're not, to me, so far they haven't. They ruled against the big lie of the election. They're just in general they try to do their jobs, I think. But when I heard that guy talk, it was just embarrassing to me. We didn't get to hear the other ones talk as much as we did Kavanaugh. But I was shocked that anyone like that. And he was obviously groomed. If you look into it a little bit, he was groomed by his parents. He was groomed by the establishment. To make his way to the Supreme Court, and he's just like barely qualified. There's probably 50 judges that anyone can name. Anyone who's in that profession and knows judges that are actually better qualified to be Supreme Court judges than that putz. So if you're a Kavanaugh fan, then good for you. Maybe he's your frat boy bud.
Soy Mark was just confirming. She said, I actually can't see I don't know if it's female or male, but are we talking about Barrett?
Yeah, her too. I mean,
Is it Barrett? Oh wait, what's Kavanaugh's first name?
Amy. Who?
Kavanaugh's first name is
it Brett?
Oh, it's Brett. Okay.
Brett. Sounds like one of those names that you wouldn't even want for a judge, right? Yo, Brett.
Blue Shark
Do you like
0869 says, love your content.
Blue Shark. Love you, man.
Tommy Shep thinks sounds good. We're gonna have to jump down. Super Bowl some number said, I heard a poot.
I heard what?
I heard a poot.
A poot?
Yeah.
Did someone poot?
I guess.
It wasn't me. I poot a lot, but I don't know what that means.
Mighty Mike too. My wife is Catholic. Judge me atheist.
She judges you because what? Your wife's Catholic. Judge me atheist.
Maybe she assumes he's atheist. I don't know. That means. I also think politicians should be religious, or I think politicians shouldn't be religious. That's terrible, Tiger.
They're not. Most of them are not religious. They're not. They just pretend to be religious so that the people in the shack in Kentucky will vote for them. And everyone assumes that they have to be, so they try to be. Some of them are religious, there's no doubt about it, but most of them don't really give a shit about church. I'm pretty sure.
Tommy Shep says Jesus is king. I will pray for you all.
King of what, man?
I don't know how to pronounce this. I do not believe in religion, but I think everybody should be free to have their religion.
Everyone should be free to have their religion. We need to just educate people so religion dies on its own. But there'll always be people who want to be religious. People need the comfort myth, and this is America. You have the right to delude yourself in that way if you want to. And again, I will defend your right to be religious. Will those religious people defend my right to be an atheist? Not very many of them. And the ones that do, I love you. We need more of those people, and there's some out there. But most of them, especially Christians, if they're going to follow the doctrines of Christianity, are there's an onus on them to convert me. So that in and of itself is a disrespect of my right to be an atheist, because their religion doesn't even respect that right. It wants to convert me and commands its sheep to convert other people into sheep. I'd rather be a cat than a sheep.
Jumping over to the YouTube comments. Hopefully Helen's still here. She wrote, I love how pissed off people get on your TikTok with your content. And then I've heard of because she's from the UK, I've heard of the Bible Belt. Excuse my ignorance, but what is it?
The Bible Belt is everywhere in America except New York City and Boston. And believe that. The Bible Belt is generally used to refer to the South, everywhere from South Georgia and South Carolina, North Carolina, all the way across Tennessee, Kentucky. So, but when you say the Bible Belt now in America, you're talking about the whole fucking country except the liberal cities. Really, there's not one state. I name a state, and I can, if it's not Massachusetts, Connecticut, New York, California, Washington, or Oregon, you can pretty much say that it's in the Bible Belt. We're in Wisconsin, which historically is fairly liberal. And not so much anymore in recent years, but with Madison being the capital, one of the most liberal cities in the country, Wisconsin's always been, kind of in the middle, and but we have religious loonies here. But yeah, the Bible Belt is just that stretch of states, in the middle, in the South, all the way from Georgia to Texas, really, and including Indiana somehow.
User with the long string of numbers says, atheism is a joke. LOL. If you are atheist, you have zero brains.
Good comment there, user long string of numbers. Yeah, why don't you get a username, putz?
And then Atheist Hub says Thomas is better than Percy.
Yeah, I think so. I just couldn't find a Thomas. I think some other people were like, Percy's a dick, and Percy scared me when I was growing up. So that's cool. But we're gonna use Percy to take some revenge on some ugly comments. Feel free to mute those people. Thanks, moderators.
Yeah. No, actually, if as long as they're saying civil, I actually don't mind them.
But they don't want to. She was making the point that they trap me, which I'm easily trapped into like saying something back.
Oh,
that's mean, and then they screenshot it, and then they use that to try to mass report you. So
sure.
I really don't mind either if they're being civil.
Yeah.
But is that civil? All atheists are stupid.
Well, that one and that, yeah, I only said it because
if you're an atheist, you have no brain. It's literally the opposite of what is true. And not all atheists are super smart, and some atheists are jerks and assholes. But it's all you have to do is like pay attention to the world around you to know that most atheists are smarter than most people that you meet. It goes together.
So we're gonna jump back over to YouTube. We got a question from
YouTube. Hi.
Oh man,
love YouTube.
I feel like I could pronounce this on the track. Pericles Perez. I think
Pericles Perez. I love that, man. The Greek Mexican. Yeah. Pericles Perez.
How do we advance as a civilization with so many still believing in these fairy tales, and then fairy tales that impact our government, economy, etc.?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, people they ask me all the time, why do you care if people are religious? And it's a conundrum. It's a quandary, my friend, because you don't want to care if somebody's religious. It's their business, but that makes them vote in certain ways, and it makes them part of the demographic that is able to push legislation that is counter to advancement. You just need to vote for politicians who don't pander to Christians, and you need to encourage your atheist friends who might be political to run for office. You need to question politicians that are running for office about their beliefs. You need to put them on the spot about it. Do you use evidence to make your decisions? Do you rely on the experts to make your decisions during the day, or do you pray to God and then make a decision? Which do you rely on more? Ask them straight out. If you get it to a place where you can ask a political candidate at some kind of function, and vote and go out and vote if it matters to you, like it matters to me. That's pretty much the number one thing I vote on. Is Do they seem like a Christian nationalist, or do they seem like a decent person who is making decisions based on what is best for everybody, even though those decisions might not be exactly what I want? As long as they're not using the religious right, the Christian extremist, fundamentalist, evangelists, and nationalists as a cudgel against the rest of us, that's the way I vote.
Brainstains 2 says, didn't Jesus claim to be the Son of Man, not God? Question mark.
Yeah, all that's poetry that was written by Greeks when they made up the shit later. We don't know that Jesus said anything because no one wrote it down when he said it. So that's all poetry. The Son of Man, it just refers to the fact that he is the one of human. He was a human being. God put himself into human form so that he could live among us and experience what it's like to be human, right? So to say that Jesus was the Son of Man means that he was a children of humankind like the rest of us. It doesn't mean that he wasn't also the Son of God, because he's that poetry is in there too, that expressionism and that figure of speech. But yeah, I always found that goofy too. I feel I feel what you're getting at there.
The Disco Underground says, in Sydney, Australia, if you say you're Christian, they laugh at you.
Good for Sydney. Unfortunately, there's a lot of creationist fundies in Australia too, from what I hear. I haven't been there, so I can't speak to it, but I think that's true in most places. Somebody said the Prime Minister of Australia right now is an evangelist.
Wasn't the big was Ham?
Yeah, Ken Ham came from Australia, and thanks. We got rid of him. He's not here now, so it's our problem. But I'd send him back if I could. I'd send him back down under, little fucker.
Lug says, I think as an atheist, I arguably have no soul.
Nobody has a soul. Nobody has a soul. It's a human construct.
Bearded Skeptic says, I love that shirt.
Bearded Skeptic, what's up, dude? Love your hair. Dude makes me jealous. Every day I look at the dude. He's got hair coming up over his head like a troll doll. And when it goes and gets a haircut, do they charge you extra, man? That bush is so thick. Your barber like, whew, I gotta get $30, not 15, down at the Supercuts for this thing because it's huge to get the head trimmers out. No, man, good looking man. Bearded Skeptic's got some fan ladies.
Mm-hmm. This question came from YouTube and from TikTok. This on YouTube from Peg OPZS. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Peg OPZS.
Do you support BLM?
I do support BLM. Yeah, I can't not. My girlfriend is black, and I'd take a whooping if I didn't. But no, I mean, black people have been discriminated against since the country was founded. It's not a made up thing, and to finally demand that people start treating them like human beings and not like second-class citizens is absolutely normal. And I get it, because as an atheist, I'm fighting a civil rights movement for atheists, and that's not to compare the two. But we are discriminated and, in fact, the most hated minority in the country. So to not support other people who are looking for social justice and claim that I want my own would be hypocritical. And yeah, BLM is it's a huge unwieldy thing that has encompassed a lot of problematic issues, including obviously the riots. But it's not an organized riot gang. BLM is a lot of BLMers have done great things for people in need too. So absolutely, systemic racism is real, and if you don't think it is, then you're living under a fucking rock, which you might be. This is America. You might be living under a rock.
The real
Idaho.
Idaho.
Yeah, well, some place where there's no black people. That's the issue in America. There's still places in America where you're never going to see a black person your whole life. If you don't leave your small town in North Dakota, you might never see a black person ever. And so it's not real to you. And you're going to believe what you hear on the media. And if the media you get, because your radio antenna and you don't have cable, and believe me, there's tons and tons of people here who don't have cable still, and all you can get is Fox News because that's the one signal that comes in, then you get brainwashed. You know, they're not even necessarily bad people. They're just ignorant and undereducated.
The real Kathy Lawson says the South has historically used the Bible and fear of God to manipulate people and justify slavery.
Not just the South. You know, the Bible's been used to do that all over the world for all kinds of reasons for decades and centuries and millennia. But yeah, you're not wrong. Absolutely.
Then Crux 152. Besides Milwaukee and Madison, the rest of Wisconsin is crazy religious.
Milwaukee's pretty fucking religious, man. We're close to Milwaukee, and I always say, if you go and have you ever seen Milwaukee? I like to say, if you fell out of an airplane over Milwaukee, you have about a 30% chance of being impaled on a steeple. It's full of fucking churches. Full of fucking churches. The black community is huge in Milwaukee, and the black community is hugely religious. Which again is a whole different conversation, but you know, it makes it hard. It makes it hard for us to fight on that side because they don't respect atheists any more than other people do. So that's rough. But yeah, Milwaukee, obviously it's a big city. It's going to have it's liberalism going on, but it's also pretty fucking religious, man. The diocese there is crazy bad. The Catholic diocese in Milwaukee, you know, declared bankruptcy to avoid paying out victims, and victims that included 100 boys at a deaf school. Imagine, you know, it's not enough to take advantage of an altar boy that's there with his family, but to like go and take advantage of deaf kids, it's fucking disgusting, man. The Catholic Church needs to fucking shit its pants and die.
Yeah, then they had problems because they were upgrading. I don't know if you remember.
Of course, as soon as they did that, they were like, you know,
they filed bankruptcy, but then they started.
Yes.
Yes. What's the word?
Renovating
everything.
Yeah, they started fixing up their buildings and stuff, and the Catholic Church is a disgusting blight on humanity. It needs to go away fast.
If you have a question, you can put it in the comments on YouTube, and if you have a question, we're getting to the point where the comments are getting a little hard to follow. So if you have a question, put it in the Q&A. There'll be a box next to the comments. It's a question mark with a square. We're going to try to hit those because people have been waiting on that. So try to post it in there if you can.
Post in there and your comments will stay then. If you just put a question in the scroll, it goes by fast as more people join.
So here we go. Carso 57. Do you think 2025, January 6th, will be the end of the U.S.? I don't know what that date means.
What does it say?
It says, do you think 2025, January 6th, will be the end of the U.S.? I'm not sure if that's a religious thing or some other.
2025.
Yeah. So it'd be
January 6th of 2025. Is that what he's saying?
Yeah, I don't know if it's a numerical thing. I don't know.
Yeah, what's that mean, buddy? No, I don't think it'll be the end of the U.S. I think we'll hang on for at least another 7 months.
It was like Y2K.
The U.S. is on its way out, that's for sure. We don't fix our shit.
What if school orphan kids was told by the teacher, I'm going to call your parent? I don't know what that means either. Call your parents? What if the school orphan? Yeah, I don't know. I assume that's something.
Because they're orphan, they don't have parents? Is that like some kind of rude joke?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess that is. Do you think science is a religion? From Chris the Ruler.
No, science isn't a religion. I think there's people who follow scientific, their scientific area of study religiously. I mean, it's using religion in a different word. But if something doesn't have a dogma and a deity and a doctrine of liturgy, then it's not a religion. Science is just a method of discovery, of learning the truth about the world around us. It's a methodology. That's all science is.
Brewston?
Go Brewston.
Is God evil for a divine creator? Oh, okay. I get what you're saying.
Well, the problem of evil is, a big one for religion, and that's, they always shout about free will. But yeah, the existence of manifest evil in the world is a pretty good indicator that God is not omnibenevolent, because he either can't or won't end it, and everything else is a justification for why, evil things happen, even though God is supposedly all good all the time.
Jonah Effin Jones.
Jonah Effin Jones. I love that.
My child is having a rough time finding out I'm atheist. What should I do?
Why? If because his mom isn't, And,
Yes, my or dad. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it sounds like the issue was letting someone indoctrinate him under your watch in the beginning. How does he, how does he not know that you were atheist right from the get-go? And how old is this kid, or her? He didn't identify, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just be open and honest with him and say, listen, I can't get my head around these illogical claims, and some people do, and your mother might be one of them, and grandpa might be one of them, but this is what I think, and this is why I think it, and I don't believe there's a hell, so you don't have to be scared of me going there, because if it doesn't exist, then I can't go there. These are the fears that religion instill in a young mind. It sounds like your child has already been the victim of the evil indoctrination and fear and guilt that religion, especially in the West, uses to keep people involved in the religion. I mean, that's a perfect example of how hurtful religion is. And people say that, because someone else took me up yesterday in the old child abuse video, one of the first ones we did, about how religion is child abuse. And even if the child isn't harmed physically and doesn't experience trauma, doesn't mean that they haven't had their critical thinking skills uh, abridged, basically, by religion, and that is abuse. If you take away a child's thinking ability in any kind of way at all, you are abusing that child of her natural talent and natural ability. And if you don't think that's abuse, then you're a fuckwit. There's just no argument for it. It is. Whether that child exhibits symptoms of the abuse, like someone who is the victim of physical abuse would, or overt mental abuse or emotional abuse, a lot of times those are identifiable things, but you're never going to be able to prove that someone's not quite as smart as they could have been. But that's what happens. There's not any question about it. They've researched it, and we know that children who are brought up religious have a harder time telling fact from fiction in school when it comes to books. And religion clearly harms one's critical thinking skills when you're indoctrinated to it, and you're ending up experiencing it right now because your child is afraid for you or worried somehow that it's bad that you're an atheist, and that should not even come into play. Shouldn't be part of the equation.
Non-crazy cat lady on YouTube asks, "What is your opinion on the new abortion restrictions laws in Texas?"
Yeah, Texas, man, they continue to fuck things up in Texas, and the thing that killed me was Governor Abbott, who is a living piece of shit and the embodiment of evil in America, and just like the worst guy. Had like a press conference, right, or kind of an announcement of the new restrictive abortion laws, and I think that they've outlawed abortion after 6 weeks. All right, it's not outlawed outright, but after 6 weeks you can't have one, and they can put a doctor in jail for doing it probably. His like press conference was literally like 20 men, 20 men standing around going, our creator endowed us all with the right to life, including her fetus. So she can't have an abortion anymore because we're in Texas, and if she has an abortion, I'll pull out my 6-shooter and blast her. Yeah, Texas stuns me with how fucking stupid they are. It really every day it embarrasses me to be an American because Texas is a state. So yeah, women's health rights need to be protected, and that's a huge part of why we do what we do, because no atheist, no secular government would involve itself in passing laws based on religious ideas. It's just an embarrassment.
All right, Fancy Duck on YouTube. Why is there so many versions of Christian? Is something I don't understand.
Well, it's a complicated question. And it started with Martin Luther when he started when he did his Reformation, when he nailed his paper on the church door back in 1550 or whatever the fuck it was. I think that's close, right? 1556 maybe. I can't remember, but
that sounds right.
Anyway, he had the crazy idea that everybody should be able to read the Bible and interpret it the way they want. Nuts, right? And the Catholic Church had like refused to like educate the populace to read. You know, they didn't want the common man reading at all, and never mind reading the Bible, because then you get your own idea about what you should do with the religion, and then their rules, go to shit because people are no longer following the canon the way that the Catholic Church set it up. And before there was anything but the Catholic Church, they were able to do that. They were able to say, this is Christianity, this is the way it is, and this is God's church, and this is the way it should be, and you all have to follow because you're all sheep and you're too stupid to think for yourselves. So Martin Luther was a piece of shit in his own way. And it's not like he was like some great liberator, but he knew enough to realize that everybody should be able to read. Everybody should be able to read the Bible. If it's the word of God, everyone should be able to access it, read it, love it, learn from it, interpret it the way they want it. So it started there. And that just opened the floodgates. After that, in Europe, when anyone was able to read the Bible and interpret it the way they wanted, then, people who wanted to be preachers could set up their congregations based on the way they interpreted it. And that's, Protestantism, took off from there by its ability to have different denominations within itself instead of everybody answering to a church hierarchy. So that's, how that started. And it came to, its ultimate kind of incarnation in America, in the U.S., because of the separation of church and state. The nation, when it needed a constitution, didn't establish a state religion just so that those colonies could continue to worship in their own way and not feel like the government was favoring one over the other. And of course, that meant Protestantism. There wasn't really anybody else here in 1776. So, when that crap happened, that even allowed more interpretation on the local level of the Bible, and the explosion of denominations after that. Just, from everything from Jehovah's Witness to Mormonism to snake churches. So I hope that answers the question.
It reminds me of
Martin Luther's fault.
A documentary. I wish I could remember the details, but this is all I remember, was that the Mormons were trying to figure out polygamy, and basically they were like, "Are we allowed to sleep with all of our wives at the same, have intercourse with all of our wives at the same time?" And half were like, no. They went and tried it, and half of them said, "No, this feels right," and half of them said, "No, this feels wrong." And then they basically split into two separate, beliefs based off of that one.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, group sex with your own wives. I just wish polygamy had gone both ways, so that a woman could have 7 husbands if she wanted. So I can't get enough of dick. I need to have 6, 7 husbands, and all in one night, man. That's what I'm about, man.
Or some bi husbands. And
hey, man, transgender, gender fluid. Yeah. Anything goes, man. That's a religion I could get behind.
It says, my parents will always say science is your religion. Those atheist authors are your God. I'm like, no.
Yeah, no, that's stupid. And you can tell your mom I said that.
Yeah, let me switch over to the Q&A box. So we have, I don't know if you want to get political, but thoughts on Biden.
Thoughts on Biden. He's a doddering old man who's a nice guy trying to do his job. He's as fucking dishwater plain as anybody, that I can think of. But at least he's not lying to us every day about everything he can possibly think of. He wears glasses if he needs to read something, probably, and I feel like he's a decent individual, who at least gets up in the morning and tries to do his job.
Wug asks, "Do you believe in evil or just wrong people?"
Yeah, evil, and it's an esoteric idea. Is evil, and people do things that are considered morally wrong by the majority of people, and those people are sociopaths. The question of evil and good, I leave that to philosophers who can't sleep at night.
Atheist Hub asks, what countries are secular?
The Hub. Iceland's pretty fucking secular. The atheism in Iceland's or religiosity in Iceland is almost down to zero. Theism, I should say, is almost down to zero. And non-crazy cat lady can help us out with the most secular countries, and they're mostly in Europe. I think most countries around the world are pretty attached to religion in their own way, And the problem is fundamentalism. The problem is extremism. People look at France and places like Italy that obviously have a ton of religion still, but people don't wear it on their sleeve. They don't identify their whole life by the fact that they're Catholic. It's just what's up, and they're not obsessed with it, and they're not obsessed with making everybody else be that. They go home and they drink their wine, they make love to their wife, and then they go back to work the next day and they leave early and make love to their girlfriend. So, countries that are secular, you can look it up. You can Google the most secular countries. Sadly, there's not a lot that don't have a religion attached to their constitution still. That's the weird irony. America is the secular nation that doesn't have a state religion, yet we have more religion in government than most countries that do have state religion. And that it was a backfire. As I said, when they made the Constitution with no state religion, it allowed religion on its own to absolutely spread across the prairie like a fire. So you end up with a populace that is ridiculously religious, which of course, since government is of the people, by the people, for the people, ends up being made out of those religious people. And then the whole original, intent goes away because those people want to push their religion on the government, and the whole secular part gets forgotten about.
Wild Heart 666 wants to say hi.
Wild Heart 666, you devil.
The thing we can learn from Mormonism is never trust a convicted con man with a magic hat.
It's true, man. Joseph Smith was a convicted con man, right? Before he started his bit. Yeah. So, maybe they didn't know that. They didn't have Google, I guess, and they just, he got a hold of a new group of saps and made him believe.
And it was very similar. He used his magic rock in both.
His magic rock?
He had a seer stone.
That's right.
What he got convicted for was he was telling people he could find treasure with it, but he needed them to pay him money to find the treasure.
Well, obviously, yeah. I mean, that doesn't come free.
Yeah. Do U.S. citizens really put everything on God?
Not everybody. It's like 50%. It's too bad we have to get down on America all the time because it's horrible. But it's not everybody. It's half the people. The other half needs to step up and start impressing its will on the government of secularity. But the problem is that the religious half, they're just more involved. They're more vocal. They're more involved. They're well funded. And they're more political. So it makes it seem like all of America is that way when it's really not. It's just there's beautiful secular people in America, and that demographic is rising. So we see the light at the end of the tunnel. It's a curve, and especially now with the explosion of the transgender phenomenon in the last few years, and millennials and post millennials. What do they call it? Gen Z, the kids that are millennials are already like, I'm so old. Millennials are already not even the youngest generation anymore, but millennials don't care. And the generation that's coming behind them, they don't care about religion. So you can see the writing on the wall. Religion is going to crap out. And we see those people like really stomping their feet. No, it's a Christian country. And their diapers get full of pee, and it's the death throes of religion. That we're seeing.
Just want to do a reminder again that because we got a lot of new people, that if you have a question, you can put it in the question box. It's the box next to the comment section. So there's a comment and then there's a question mark with a box. Now, if you can't see it, it might mean that you have to follow us in order to leave a question.
You might have to follow us. So please follow us. And thank you to all our great followers. I always like to thank the fans and the followers. We couldn't do it without you. And so follow, and then you can ask questions in the dialogue bubble at the bottom.
Atheist Hub wanted to ask you about pets. Do you ever or do you have pets?
Yeah, Ginger the Faithless Healer is right here. She's under the desk, and she's very patient while we do the show. And once in a while she gets antsy, and you'll hear her like bark or run around. But she's a 3-year-old Australian healer. She's a red healer, not the typical blue that you see. And she's amazing. She's a great dog. And I got a hamster right outside the door here that does his thing. And we got a fish. I got a fish in an aquarium back in the house.
Thoughts? This comes from Jelly64. Thoughts on
Jelly 64. I'm from 64. I always feel like that's people's birth year, right?
Yeah, I don't know if it is or not.
I always go to that.
Thoughts on agnosticism?
Agnosticism? An agnostic is just an atheist who's afraid of his mother-in-law. Regular viewers have heard me say that a lot, but it's always funny. Yeah, it's just a cop-out. You know, quit being a pussy. You know there's no God, and call yourself a fucking atheist so we can get people over the term.
So it's like real estate JT. Do you have any religious friends?
Real estate JT. Yeah, I have religious friends. I work with religious people. I don't have any fundamentalist friends. I don't have any people who are crazy extremists, but it'd be pretty hard to get through life in America without some religious friends. It's everywhere. You know, the smart ones know not to bring it up to me.
Helen Wonderly from the UK says, "Oh, that's a good British accent."
Cheers, love. I did spend a bit of time in London, you know, and I like to default to the sort of suburban London accent like this. Sound like Pete Townsend a bit, right? Like I played for the Who, for the U. Yeah, that Americans would think that was a Cockney. It's not a true Cockney. True Cockney is almost unintelligible. You know, I spent some time with some real ikes from the East End, and you can't understand a fucking word I say after a while. I really can't remember. I just, you know, get down to Frog and Toad to the rubber dub, you know, and they use this rhyming slang that's brilliant. But yeah, if you're from the north, you talk a bit more like this, don't you?
Malachi Grimmington asks, "Can we be more proactive in creating peace in society?"
Can we be more proactive in creating peace? You know, I think it's all down to education. To me, that's the key for everything. We need to be more proactive with improving the education system so that, you know, people can get smarter and not stupider. And to me, the education system is letting us down horribly in the U.S. And people are not getting smarter; they're getting stupider, and they're relying on mythology and you know, the watered down Christianity of the evangelical megachurches, where they don't even have to think about the philosophy of Christianity, which at some point was at least, you know, pretended to be deep. I don't get why, you know, arguing about that stuff was ever considered logical in any kind of way, but people did it for years, and philosophers spent, you know, their whole lives trying to dig into the Bible and Christian doctrine and what it all really meant, when what you're talking about is nothing. It's unsupportable through any kind of rationality or historical fact or record. So I never got that, but at least, you know, they thought about it. And now people are just like, yeah, just trust in Jesus and it'll all be all right. Woo! So yeah, world peace, you know, I think it's only going to come through a greater knowledge, a greater empathy for a fellow man, a greater understanding of the world. That's a big problem in America, is American exceptionalism and isolationism. And like I said before, there's people in parts of the country that are never going to leave their farm in backwater South Dakota or wherever they're from, Arkansas. They're never going to see anything but their idyllic small town where life is pretty good. You know, if you got a job and you know, there's no terrorists making their way to your town to blow stuff up, and there's not racial strife because the police don't have black people to beat up. You know, you don't understand the problems that the rest of the world go through. So it's hard to get them on board, you know, but if we teach people better, people will know. And, you know, I think we'll get to a more peaceful world. We're already living through a time where it's hard to imagine another world war, right? Historians are already calling this the Great Peace. And if it wasn't for regional conflicts and American colonialism and exploitation of world resources still at this point, there'd be even less wars. It's sad to say that, you know, America's been keeping war alive in Afghanistan and Iraq with no reason, whereas the rest of the world is not involved in global conflict anymore, and we're likely not to be.
Fire Lord Zuko 3, can I hop on this train?
Of course you can hop on the train. Everybody can hop on the train, my friend. You're watching the Atheist Underground Psychological Emancipation Railway, moving your mind to places it was too weak to go by itself. Yeah, we feel like religion has enslaved the psyche, the mentality, the mind, the mental abilities of people. around the world for too long now. And so get on this train and go straight to hell with us.
I don't remember. This must have been related to something you said earlier because they said then they ought to re-examine the history books.
Nobody's reading history books here. That's what I'm getting at. They're not. They get taught the basics so that they can pass the tests to get their state funding. It's a joke. The whole American education system is a fucking joke.
And watered down history.
Yeah, watered down history. People getting lied to. Texas is putting Moses in the history books, in the textbooks, as though he were a real character, and as though the Ten Commandments were somehow involved in the foundation of the country, the founding of the country, and the writing of the Constitution, which they clearly weren't. And it's revisionist history to pretend that they were. But that's what's going on. You get kids lied to, and then they don't know, and then the cycle continues.
Even here in Burlington, Wisconsin, they had a teacher who got in trouble for teaching Black history, kind of focusing on like slavery and how that affects Black communities today. And they basically, people were against it. They tried to stop her from teaching that. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Do you ever read Thomas Paine's book Common Sense?
You know what? No, and I actually downloaded it on Kindle and I've read pieces of it and bits of it, and I remember reading some of it when we were little. But I mean to get back at reading that whole thing because Thomas Paine was a fucking genius, and that's what people lose sight of the fact that a great majority of the founders were not Christians like people think of the Christians today. If they were Christians, they were mainline Protestants who would let go of biblical literalism in light of the Enlightenment that they were living through, or post-Enlightenment, where rationalism was starting to take hold, and reason, and there's no reason to think that anything in the Bible is necessarily literal. There's just not. And Thomas Paine and Thomas Jefferson, Jefferson's got a redacted Bible where he went through and just like crossed out the supernatural shit because people knew, in 1776, they knew that magic didn't happen. That part is all best seen as allegory and hyperbole and, prosaic expression to get a point across.
This is a perfect question to follow that. J Cat for you asks, was Moses fictional?
Yeah, Moses was pretty clearly accepted as fictional. I don't even think there's a lot of religious theologians who think that Moses was real. He's pretty obviously an amalgamation of earlier lawgiver myths.
Here's a nice comment from Brent and Drogo. Just stumbled upon your account. What a lovely gathering of minds on a Sunday.
Thank you very much. Yes. You give us too much credit, my friend. But Brent and Drogo, is that what it is? Brent and Drogo? Love Drogo.
Yeah.
Big Game of Thrones fan.
Perez from YouTube commented, I would say our educational system is built so we never challenge the power structure.
Yeah, and that's the way they want it, especially the Republicans. That's the way they want it. This whole demonization of college now is craziness. Like college is just there to make people liberal. What the fuck is that about? I knew plenty of Republicans in college and plenty of conservative thinkers who came out of college. So thanks. That's Pericles Perez again. Thanks for hanging out. Are you Hispanic, Perez? ¿Habla español, mi amigo? Si hay unos que tienen preguntas en español, me las echas también. Te los contesto.
Terry Yo Music says this is the perfect replacement for Sunday school. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, man. It gets me up early. I don't really sleep in anyway on Sunday anymore. But we're in the Central Time Zone, so it's not noon. It's when we start in the morning. It's only 9 a.m. So I'm up at church time anyway on a Sunday. But thanks for that. And our buddies at Milwaukee Atheists, you can look for them on YouTube. They have a thing called Atheist Sunday School where they really delve into the Bible and kind of break down the biblical stories from an atheist perspective, and that's not what we do, and we didn't call the show that because they've already got that. But young guy named Lawrence Yufa, really fucking smart thinker, came from Russian Jewish stock, truth be told, but he's got a brilliant mind, And the kid's only 23 or 24 or something now, but really respect his knowledge, and he digs into it. He does his research and teaches people the truth behind a lot of biblical stories that you would have heard in regular old Sunday school, which is regular Sunday school. Man, that was a trip.
I blame Bill. Also does a Sunday school.
Yeah, yeah.
So she's on TikTok. I blame Bill.
Finally put her name up, Rachel Kane. Big crush. I'm crushing big. I wish she'd quit talking about her husband. It kills my fantasy. Yeah, she's awesome.
Here's a good question. The name's a little strange. B to V, I think it is. B to V, which is kind of funny. 77.
B to Z.
No, well, it's 2 7s. B to V.
B to V.
B to. Oh, that's okay. What's your ultimate message?
I love you, man.
Through this forum. That's a good question.
Ultimate message? What?
What's your ultimate message through this forum?
My ultimate message through this forum is there's a couple of points that we have, and that is that it's okay to be an atheist in the U.S., and that we need to create a secular community that has a political solidarity to it, so that we can start voting secular people into office, so that we are not the most underrepresented group, and that it's okay to question your religious indoctrination and your upbringing. If you were someone who suffered religious trauma, you can come here and take it out and get your questions answered, and or try to have them answered. I didn't suffer religious trauma. I'm lucky that way, and so this to me, and I've never been Mr. Altruism, but for me, the need to do this stems from watching people that I love suffer from religious trauma. It wasn't me personally ever. I get a lot of trolls who are like, "Oh yeah, sorry you had such a bad time in church, and someone fucked you over at church, and no, that didn't happen. I had a good time in my church. It's just nothing that you can get your logical head around, and at the end of the day, I was too reasonable and logical to actually believe any of that crap could possibly be true. It doesn't stand up to the slightest scrutiny, not even a little bit. You have to be indoctrinated or desperate emotionally to believe any of that, period. So you don't need to. You can trust your own mind, and it'll be all right.
Pericles Perez says, "Sí, señor."
Está bien. ¿Estás griego también? Con este nombre Pericles.
And then Kochi Loco 04 asks, what happened to the frog that was illegally parked?
Kochi Loco?
Yeah.
Kochi Loco. Love that name. It's not Kuchi Loco?
It's Cochi.
Should be Kuchi Loco. The frog that was illegally parked? I don't know. Is that a riddle?
He got towed.
Oh!
Is your account name based? This comes from Spilled Leaves. Is your account name based on the Weather Underground? If so, I gotta go.
What's that mean?
The Weather Underground. Is that a
I don't know.
band? I don't know.
Sounds like a band, right?
Yeah, it could be. But
I feel like I know.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Is the Weather Underground website? No,
we don't. Please don't go, because we don't. I don't. It doesn't have anything to do with that.
Yeah. Maybe explain the name a little bit.
Yeah, we'll look it up after.
No, I meant you explain Atheist Underground.
Oh, Atheist Underground. No, it was based on like the London Underground, a subway system, traveling around different parts of the. See here, we can you see that? We made the map of a subway system with its red and green and blue lines, and then made different names of cities within the area: Reasonville, Rational City, Brainford, Agnostic Center, Atheist Town, Humanistopolis, Los Datos, that means the facts in Spanish, Secularia, Freethinker Falls. I just like envision Skepticsburg, all these like little towns or stops on the subway named for different parts of the atheist community or the atheist movement. And then the podcast would go from one stop to the other and kind of concentrate on that theme for that stop. That's how the podcast started. So the Atheist Underground is just a subway, it's a virtual railway. And then after I thought about it, I'm like, it kind of sounds like the Underground Railroad too, Atheist Underground. And I thought, okay, well, we're transporting people out of emotional slavery and psychological mental slavery, so why not use that as part of the imagery behind it? So the train metaphor just kind of came naturally out of all of that. And I love trains.
Pericles Perez, I think, answered the Weather Underground question. I believe that's what it's connected to. They say they were a radical revolutionary group in the 60s and 70s.
Okay. Yeah, that's a new one on me.
Um,
I feel like it's an app for the weather too.
oh yeah, Weather Underground says it's an excellent. Extremity says Weather Underground is an excellent weather site. Yeah, that's what I.
Yeah, it's a what I
That's what I
thought
thought too.
that's where I know Weather Underground from.
Okay, and I'm gonna say this again just because we got a lot of new people. That if you have a question, put it and you're on TikTok, put it in the question box, which is next to the comment box. It has a question mark. You have to make your questions really succinct because it doesn't allow a lot of room for
Yeah,
typing.
limited characters on the question bubble.
And if you're on YouTube, go ahead and just throw it in the comments. And I'm keeping a real close eye on those. So the question coming in is, forget religion. Do you believe in one God somehow? Question mark.
No, that's why we're atheists. We don't believe in one God.
I'm curious your thoughts. Would do you think multiple gods would make more sense than one God?
That would explain the existence of evil, at least.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I guess I have to say yes. You know, neither of them make any real sense.
Yeah, I would think multiple because how often in the world do you see like one of something, right? There's multiple planets. There's multiple. Like it seems like if you're gonna have one, you're like, why wouldn't you have?
Yeah, I suppose so. But I mean, it takes the supreme being part out, right? If there's multiple gods, then they're always pissing that. They're fucking each other's wives, and they're infighting because they're dad's favorite son,
Yeah,
or they're vying for control.
Yeah.
So that would explain evil better.
Yeah,
for sure.
Do you? It's kind of a strange question, but do you trust what all atheists say?
No, I know atheists are boneheads. My
Yeah.
poor ex-wife is an atheist, and she's an anti-vaxxer, and she thinks that like fortune tellers know what they're doing. Why don't you just go ahead and believe in God?
So we got this question twice from two different people, so I'm gonna try to hit them both. I'll do I'll do them in this order. Okay, thoughts on UFOs?
Yeah, that's pretty cool stuff what they're discovering now, but none of them think it's aliens. They have a new name for it, right? UAP, unidentified aerial phenomenon, because
Yeah.
they're not trying to go to aliens. They're trying to figure out who's got the technology and is spying on us. That's where they're concentrating there when they're looking for that stuff. But that's cool that they're declassifying that shit and letting it out there. And maybe if they find out and there's actual evidence for aliens, but the chances that there's life in another galaxy that could get here, or in another solar system that could get here, that entails that life would have had to evolve in the same amount of time that we've evolved, because they're in the same universe. They've only had or 14 billion years to do it, just like we have. The chances that somebody somewhere, life evolved to the point where they have that technology doesn't make sense. And I learned that from a scientist who interviewed for one of the last podcasts, and it didn't, it hadn't dawned on me before, because I always figure, yeah, the universe is too big. There's got to be intelligent life somewhere else. And maybe they've gotten to the point where they can, put themselves to sleep for the long periods needed to travel, because they're going to be bound by the same physical laws that we are, where they can't break the speed of light, yada yada, to get anywhere. So the chances are minimal that somebody has evolved to that point anywhere, because they're here. Here we have the model, and we're still trying to get to Mars. So
and that goes into the other question, was views on the current UFO documents.
Yeah, I mean, it's neat, and I can't wait to see what they find out about it. And I love discovery, and I love new facts and new evidence.
Trollmatic asks.
Trollmatic.
I lost it.
Oh.
It was basically why do people confuse me for a Satanist instead of an atheist?
Because people are stupid, man. People assume that if you're not a Christian and you don't believe in God, then you must be a devil worshiper. They're just dumb. They don't get that we don't believe in any supernatural beings.
True though.
But it's so true.
User True though asks, are you familiar with Pascal's wager?
Yeah, I'm familiar with Pascal's wager. He keeps losing, that guy, with that wager. Even he knew it was dumb in the end. But yeah, the reasoning behind, you may as well believe because there's nothing to lose if you believe and it's not true, but everything to lose if you don't believe and it is true. It doesn't stand up to scrutiny. either. You know, if there's a God, he would know that you're faking it, for one thing, and you'd have to believe in every possible God in order to cover all the bets. So it's just dumb. It's bad philosophy.
This one comes from YouTube, and Wildheart666 is disheartened because they say, so I'm guessing you don't believe in Bigfoot or Loch Ness Monster either.
I wanted to, man. When I was a kid,
Yeah.
I wanted the Loch Ness Monster to be real so bad. But it's not that big of a lake in the end, you know. And they've pretty well scanned it.
Well, and I think that bringing it back to God, the irony is I think there's more evidence for those those two things than there are for God, because at least we know mammals, you know, Bigfoot being a mammal exists, and we know that, you know, large.
Right, and we do discover species that have been previously undiscovered. They're just usually not 7-foot hairy Chewbacca's, you know. But Bigfoot is real. He's got commercials. Have you seen it?
Yes.
He's in commercials. He's got it like a beef jerky product, right?
Does he? I know that they've done.
Isn't Jack Link's like use a Sasquatch for their?
I don't know. I only
Somebody
watch YouTube, so I don't watch TV, so I don't really.
No, but you just got to go to the grocery store and you can see like, I think like one of those beef jerky products is a Sasquatch.
Malachi Grimington asked, "Are all religions tied together? Because many words linked."
What?
They put ... many words linked. I assume because are all religions tied together? Well, you have Abrahamic religions.
Yeah, no, all religions are not tied together. Some religions are completely opposite of other ones, and you know, I mean, Shintoism developed in Japan, and Japan was isolated from the entire world until like 1780 or something. So yeah, no, there's religions that are completely independent of other religions.
But I think they'll find a lot related because they're actually based off of these really old religions that don't exist anymore. You know what I mean? Like if you look at, and even beyond with the Bible, they found basically records that were, you could see where they just stole those same mythologies and turned them into.
Yeah, that's true. But again, those, you know, I think you can follow the path. It's silly to think that religion didn't evolve multilaterally. There was a point where you couldn't travel past the physical obstacles in your way. So that's why people didn't get to Japan. People didn't get to North America, because you couldn't get from Asia to North America, you know, for religions to spread like that. So no, I have trouble believing that all religions came from one religion.
This one came from SG. I don't know if that's supposed to be Sergeant. No, they have to have a T. SG Jimmy.
SG Jimmy.
How many religions do you know about?
Oh my God. Not all of them, that's for sure, you know. But there's too many for anyone to know all of them. But you know, I know more about a lot of them than most people, I guess.
Here comes from Adam 2020. How would God have fun if only by himself?
How would God have fun if only by himself?
Yeah, I think that's what we.
Yeah, I don't know. That's the whole, you know, God is eternal. You know, it didn't have to have a creator because he is the cause. It's like the special pleading case of people who want to say that something can't come from nothing, but somehow God has always existed. Yeah, what did he do? Why did he wait so long to make a universe? Or is he just making one universe after the other and then they crap out, like a guy who tries an aquarium and all the fish die and you got to do it again, you know? And God is like, you know, he doesn't sense time like we do. So 14 billion years from the beginning of the universe to like when life got to our point here, you know, there was nothing to him, right? Yeah. What did he do? I don't know. Play pool with asteroids.
You end up with Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Have you seen that?
Yeah. Yeah. Kurt Russell is God.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's got that hair.
True though asks, do you practice any type of spirituality?
No. I smoked a lot of weed until recently. Thought about things.
We got a question. Would proof of aliens destroy Christianity?
That people like to ask that question lately, right? It's no, I think it would destroy the doctrine of young earth creationists and people who think that God created this earth exclusively for us and that there is no other life. But I don't think it would destroy Christianity overall. There's always going to be some people who just feel like, hey, come on board of it. And they'd proselytize to the aliens, you know. The aliens would be like getting ready to probe these people in the back. can I testify to you about the Lord Jesus Christ? And the aliens be like, get the fuck out of here, man. We're gone, man. It's a good way to ward off the aliens, probably. Just pretend you're a Christian. It's like, and let me tell you about my experience with the Lord Jesus Christ. Aliens be out the fucking door. They're like, this people are batshit crazy. Let's go to a different country where we can probe a scientific mind instead of these boneheads.
Pericles Perez has a saucy hypothetical. So, do you think there would be BJs in heaven?
Yeah, heaven is just BJs, one after the other.
Let's go back to TikTok. We have how long until we have a atheist president?
We've had atheist presidents.
Then we have
The last president was an atheist. He just pretended to be Christian. He's made comments about how he didn't care about God. Abraham Lincoln was a famous agnostic. He waffled on the existence of a deistic God. You can't really call him an atheist, but I have a feeling that most of the early presidents were really non-religious in a huge way. If they weren't outright atheists, they didn't give a fuck.
we got a comment that said the aliens respond with "We are the Lord."
The aliens respond with "We are the Lord."
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, maybe.
Laughing, yeah.
Right.
We have some space if you have a question. So if you want to put the question in the question box, we'll see it. It's the box with the question mark right next to the comments. And if you're on YouTube, you can just throw it right in the comments. We'll see them there. But the comments go by really fast on TikTok, so they're hard to follow. Let's see if we have.
Love you on YouTube. Love you all. Sorry to be showing you my profile the whole time.
Here we go. Belton Rhodes asks, do you think that the American Humanist Association was correct to revoke Dawkins Humanists of the Year Award from 1996? Oh, Dawkins, the Humanist.
Yeah, Dawkins, in light of his fucking bigoted attitude towards transgender folk and his...
Yeah, that's a hard one.
He's just an old guy, Yeah. I don't know. It's hard to answer. It's up to them to do what they want with their stupid awards. I think it was kind of a pointless move.
Yeah.
I don't think I would have done it.
I also see why they would do it.
Yeah. I get it. But that's a tough question.
What I don't know how to pronounce this name. Dota Man asks,
Dota Man.
what are you eating?
I'm eating a fine peach yogurt with granola mixed in. Nice raisin granola. One of my favorite things to eat. High fiber, a little bit of fat, and very tasty. Granola costs too much. What's up with that? You go to the store and get a thing of Quaker granola, and it's like fucking $5, man. For cereal. It's like, really?
If you have a question, go ahead. Now's a good time to put it in because I think we actually caught up with all of
it. It is Atheist Brunch, so I try to have a little bit of food out here just to go with the theme, and because I do get hungry. Because I don't get up and eat breakfast like a lot of people right away. I can't necessarily do that. By the time we get this started, and just because of the time of day that we chose it, we're like, let's make it the Atheist Brunch. So, but it's hard to eat, right, while you're talking like this. Yeah. And I'm like, I got shit in my teeth, and I'm trying to answer a question, and shit's flying out of my mouth, and I'm like choking on it and stuff. So, a lot of times, whatever I got out to eat ends up just like cold and shitty by the time I'm done. And I'm drinking tea. It's a nice chamomile vanilla tea. Chamomile, my friend. Chamomile and honey, I think, is what it is. And it's kind of mild. It's not my favorite one, but it's all I got left in there.
This from username Tell a Story Jack Annery. I don't know if that's a person that we should know. Jack Anory.
Tell a Story Jack Annery.
Yeah, hopefully I pronounced that right. There's a lot of when you have like multiple words, it's hard. Like the more words, the harder it is to say. Who says he? Oh, forgot. Who says he's alone? And if you're omnipotent, omnipotent, did you know everything your friend's going to say? So,
yeah, right. So that'd be boring, right? He's not alone, but nothing surprises him. You can't tell him a joke. You can't, because he always knows everything. It's just the whole concept is dumb.
So here's an actual question: thoughts on Jordan Peterson?
Jordan Peterson.
You know who that is?
Yeah. We looked into it, right? He does debates or an apologist of some sort with.
I don't.
He's like a
He doesn't really do a lot of religious stuff, but I think he is religious. I don't really understand.
yeah. He tries. I think he's basically a Christian apologist.
No, no, no. This is he's a Canadian. He's like a psychologist, but he does alt-right kind of. Really love him, but I don't really know. He's a mystery to me. He says some really insanely stupid things. Like I saw one just recently where he's talking about how basically all movies are beta males, but I don't know if that was his. I don't know. So he's a weird dude.
Yeah, I watched it. I watched like 5 minutes of it, and I thought the same thing. I'm like, who fucking gives a fuck what this guy thinks?
Yeah.
You know, he just seemed like an unreasonable thinker, honestly.
Conversations with Jeff says Jordan Peterson is pretty awesome in my opinion. I think that I have a hard time because sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, I totally agree with him, and other times I'm like, this dude does not know what the fuck he's talking about, but pretend.
Yeah, I haven't watched enough honestly to see. He was having an argument with somebody, some atheist, I want to say, and he was making a point that did not make any sense. The one thing I saw. Sorry, I can't answer that better.
Yeah, we'll have to. He says Jordan Peterson is a therapist who studied sociology and preaches life values. Yeah, like some of that stuff I agree with, but I've seen him on other things where I'm just like, he like I said, he makes where he contradicts himself and then tries to pretend. I don't know. He just I go back and forth. I need to watch more of him as well.
I think he defends religious thinking.
Yeah,
and thinks that's justifiable.
But he's interesting too because he jumps from metaphor to like literal, which I like. If you're going metaphor, it's like okay, sure. Like there's these Jesus' resurrection as a metaphor has whatever its therapeutic effects or whatever. But then sometimes he speaks as if it was like a real event. It's like, dude, what are you like?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah,
we'll have to watch more. I don't know. I can't really give a good.
Yeah, sorry, I don't see a lot of Jordan Peterson.
Here we got some from YouTube. Quick.
YouTube.
Oh, who is the question master / assistant? He's good. Is he on YouTube? I don't really post anything on YouTube other than through Atheist Underground. So I would say just if you want to follow us there.
And he's Atheist Animated on TikTok, right?
Yeah,
you can follow Atheist Animated on TikTok, and that's Jay's stuff. But yeah, we call him Jay. He can't really come out because of his work. He doesn't want to get discriminated against like atheists are. And again, that's part of our mission is to try to get us past that point where people take it out on you in U.S. society. If they find out you're an atheist, I have people that won't do business with me, and if that's something that's going to affect your whole livelihood, you gotta take that into account. And it's a sad fucking statement.
Actually, someone else recommended we check out Jordan Peterson's debate Sam Harris on YouTube.
Yeah,
an interesting one. Okay, another question from YouTube. Belton Road says that alt-right, are you kidding? You don't know what you're talking about? No, I'm saying that he's been labeled that. I'm not. I have no idea whether he actually is. I just know that he's been labeled that. I know that that's what he's been labeled that. It's unquestionable whether whether he deserves it or not.
Yeah, I don't know enough to say. So we're not trying to say he's all right.
Yeah,
but people were claiming that he was. Probably the haters. People make all kinds of stupid things. People tell me I'm like a leftist, which is a term bothers me. Leftist, lefty. Are you a lefty liberal?
Well, those general labels usually, I get why they exist, but they don't.
Yeah, they don't really describe anybody. It's just a stereotype that's invalid.
Belton Rhodes asks, "Are you a fan of David Silverman?"
I've worked with David Silverman, and I've had numerous conversations with him. I've partied with him, and he's an arrogant prick. He did a lot of good for atheism when he was in charge of American Atheists, and he helped us out in certain ways. So I can't take that away from him. He helped us put up an atheist billboard in Milwaukee that really, really got a lot of shed a spotlight on our community here. But I know enough about him personally to know that he's kind of a prickly dude, and he brought upon himself what has happened to him. And I know this on a personal level, and I'm not going to really talk a lot about that, but I do believe that he got hosed by Rebecca Vitzman when he kind of tried to resurrect himself from the shame that was foisted upon him when he was accused of sexual misconduct and ended up getting kicked off as president of American Atheists. He also misused funds for personal for personal use. So it wasn't just the sexual misconduct thing, but I feel like having spoken with both people in that situation, that he was probably unfairly hammered for something that was pretty innocent the second time when she accused him and basically ran him right up the flagpole in front of the world on social media. Knowing what I know personally about both of them, I don't think that he probably really did anything wrong there, and I feel for his situation there. That said, he's gone like overboard to the right, where he was a liberal, and he's become this anti-woke culture, right wing weirdo that seems like sour grapes to me, because he was basically kicked out of the atheist movement for specious reasons in some ways, and for decent reasons in other ways. But yeah, he's possessed of an arrogance that makes my own seem like rank humility. Is David Silverman. So yeah, I know David.
Okay, we got about 5 questions lined up, so let's get ready to do lightning round.
Lightning round.
So if you have a question, put it in the question box, or throw it in the comments on YouTube. We're not going to do. Let's hit like 2 without the lightning round, just because it'll give them time to do it.
Okay.
Let's see if I can find one that's would take a little bit longer to answer. Oh, here's one. Angus Flang asks, "What do you think about psychedelics?"
Angus Fling. Is that his name? Angus Fling.
Flang.
Angus Flang. There's a nice assonance there. You got to be Scottish, don't you, if your name is Angus? I think it's the law. But I do love that name. Yeah, I love psychedelics, my friend. I love psychedelics so much that mushrooms aren't strong enough for me. I enjoy a good hit of acid, and have on several occasions. Saw the last Grateful Dead shows in Chicago in '95, right before Jerry died, and I took acid for those shows, and man, it was great. Some of the cleanest, awesomest acid I ever had. And I feel like if you're gonna call me spiritual in any way, it's because I've had psychedelic experiences, which they let you see the world in a way that you wouldn't have seen it otherwise, and that leads to a knowledge that you can't get anywhere else. So our perception as human beings is limited, and if you can alter those perceptive pathways and open some different doors of perception, if you want to call that spiritual, you can. But I think there's value there. So yeah, I do. It never made me believe anything supernatural, though. It just made me understand that science, there's things that science doesn't really understand about our brains yet. And the way that we perceive the universe is very linear in terms of the way our normal brains are constructed. And psychedelics help you understand that everything is not the way that you perceive it just because that's the way that you perceive it.
Okay, here's another one, not lightning round yet. Again, if you have a question for lightning round, we got a few that came in, but we could use a few more. If you have a question, put it in the question box on TikTok, or just throw in the comments on YouTube. Conversation with Jeff asks, will we ever mentally evolve past religion?
I think so. Yeah, it might take another millennium. But I think, there'll always be people who need the comfort myth and who need that emotional crutch. But again, it's down to education, and the more educated we're able to get people, the easier that curve will go sliding down the other side. And I think that sooner or later, yes, I think there'll be too much knowledge of the universe to believe in the God of the gaps anymore. So I think effectively there will be a point where religion goes away almost entirely. But I think there'll always be a cult, don't you? You feel like no matter what, there'll always be a cult, or two, of people who just can't let it go.
Pogger's Fortnite Legend 69.
Pogger's Fortnite Legend
asks, thoughts on people who say things like Sky Daddy?
I say Sky Daddy sometimes. It cracks me up, man. I love making fun of religion. I'd be like, hey, you know God's not in the sky, right? And he's not a daddy? Whatever, man.
He's a father, but not a daddy?
I don't know, man. But, I get a kick out of the term Sky Daddy. I think it's a funny word. It comes off the tongue in a funny, funny way. But yeah, I'm a big fan of ridiculing religion. People who are like, "Hey, you need to that's not respectful." Fuck, religion's not respectful. It hasn't earned any respect. So I don't feel like people's religion needs to be respected just because it's people's religion. I think that's stupid. So yeah, if you want to call God a sky daddy, I'm all about it.
All right, we're gonna hit lightning round. So we have this is more of a comment. I would love to see a theists versus theist debate. I think they meant atheist versus theist debate.
It's not hard to find. Just Google them. There's plenty. I
Uh,
hosted one between Richard Carrier and I wish I could remember Justin's last name. He was a good guy, but he was a born again, died in the wool Christian.
just curious, what is your day job?
I'm a horticulturist. We have a landscape company.
I love that you are a ex head who expanded your mind. Ex deadhead, I assume.
Ex-head, like head just means stoner.
Oh, does it? Okay. I assumed it always meant okay, that makes sense. Best sci-fi book you've read.
Oh, best sci-fi book. It's been years. When I was a kid, we grew up reading sci-fi. I had the Asimov short stories by my bed, The Illustrated Man, and the Ray Bradbury one, the Mars Chronicles. Right? Am I getting them right? I might be switching them up, but I don't know. It's movies for me lately, and I love AI. I love that movie. I love Kubrick, and I think Spielberg did a great job sticking to his vision. Um, so and I love The Expanse. If you haven't watched The Expanse, give it a chance. It started out slow, but I really love that. But yeah, it's hard for me to think of a book. I don't know if I've read a sci-fi book in decades.
Who would win in a fist fight, Jesus or Buddha?
Um,
Jesus has a longer reach.
but Buddha outweighs him by quite a bit, man. I feel like Buddha just like belly bucking, sumo wrestle, belly bucking right out. But yeah, I mean that's two supposed pacifists, so that might be a boring ass fight, man. Hey, put your money down, folks, and you're like, Jesus be like, oh, just turn the other cheek, and Buddha be like, peace, no blows thrown.
What's your best argument for agnosticism, atheism / atheism?
My best argument for it, there's no evidence for a deity. I don't know what more argument you need. That's the only reason that theism is even a thing is because of indoctrination from ancient times, when people really didn't know anything about the nature of the universe, and they figured that there must be a prime mover somewhere. But with what we know today, and with the lack of evidence for a deity, there's no other reasonable philosophical position to have. Period.
One from YouTube: are atheist girls hotter than religious ones?
No, I don't think so. I don't think the two are related at all. I see like the hot girls that are like the Christian girls, on TikTok. That I'm like, damn, that's a waste of a hottie. That stupid mind. But what are you gonna do? I know plenty of hot atheist girls too. So
makes me think of Garfunkel.
I'm not comfortable with the objectification of women here.
Yeah.
We're equal opportunity hottie identifiers. I call it out. I'm straight as they come, really, and not. I'm happy with my feminine side. But if I see like a really hot dude, I don't have a problem saying that's a hot looking dude, my friend.
Just there for laughs says more of a comment. So bullying a bully who is using religion is okay? I think talking about the Sky Daddy, I assume.
Yeah.
I don't know if I call that. That's not really bullying.
I don't know bullying, but the ridiculous is to be ridiculed, just like food is to be eaten. If something is mockable, then you mock it, and religion is eminently mockable. It's absolutely silly. Why wouldn't you make fun of religion?
The YouTube question: does that mean you're super straight? I think it's.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it super straight. I'm one of those guys who thinks that everybody's kind of on the spectrum of bisexuality. Yeah. And people who have man crushes, and that's a form of a sexual attraction. When you like really admire and you think that a dude is like so cool, that's there's a component there, to me, and I'm not a denier of my feminine side or of my the idea that I could be attracted to someone that didn't happen to be a girl. It's just because they were so attractive. That's possible. I just happen to really, 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 really like women, and I always have, and they like me. So we've had a good time that way.
Have you read Calculating God by Robert Sawyer?
No.
Do you like atheist YouTuber Alex O'Connor.
Don't know.
Okay, I think that's.
As creators, we don't watch a lot, and I think that's too bad. I wish I had just more time to watch, but it takes so much of our time just to do this stuff with having a job and a family that I don't have a lot of time to read or watch other YouTubers or other TikTokers. So I feel bad about that, and I wish I was more informed in that way.
Pogger Fortnite Legends 69 followed up with, you truly believe there's genuinely no evidence that supports theism?
There isn't any evidence that supports theism. No, it's a fantasy. It's wishful thinking.
Yeah, I think the best evidence is God of the Gaps, which is a terrible.
Yeah, that's all there is if you don't know where it came from, you want to say that God did it, and that's dumb. That's an intellectual cop-out.
Wildheart 66 said fabulously straight ?
Fabulously straight. That's what I am. Yes, I lust after women all the time, every day, all day long, and I don't apologize for it.
I think we'll go 2 more. Thoughts on burning in eternal fire?
Oh, she made like fabulously straight and fabulously straight.
Yeah, well, I like that.
I don't know.
Yeah,
anyway,
I like that one
good.
better though. But
yeah.
Thoughts on burning in eternal fire?
Again, dumb. It's a dumb concept, and it's not terribly biblical, really, either. Most of our imagery of hell comes from Dante.
I don't know this question here.
Dante, what was his last name? Scaramouche or some shit.
You got a giant crush from Keisha Hendricks.
Thanks, Keisha. Love you. Long time.
Last one. Oops. Oh, I just sorry. Almost swiped away the what Sarah 4701 asks, what do you think about the continuing decline of testosterone in males? Is this a significant problem? I haven't heard that.
I haven't heard that either. Is that like we're headed towards Handmaid's Tale where we can't have children? And we, right? Isn't that what's behind? According to the show, I haven't read the book, but according to the show, the decline in fertility.
Oh, is that it? I know it happens in age. That's why, who's the?
Yeah, I don't know. I'll look into that. Maybe
who's the comedian guy? Joe Rogan. I know. I think he takes testosterone now, but it had to do with basically something related to your testosterone levels.
He's a dangerous idiot.
Yeah,
Joe Rogan.
I want to follow his. Yeah, I want to follow him.
Yeah, what an idiot. But yeah, I didn't know that his declining testosterone in society is a thing. Like the honeybees are going away. I don't know. Personally, I don't. I have too much. If somebody needs some testosterone, they can come and get some. Whew. But yeah.
Why don't you say the places they should check out?
Yeah. We again try to get the underground gear on cafepress.com, atheist underground gear. You can get the shirt, you can get logo stuff, and I'll be adding more stuff. Somebody had some good ideas about making a poster out of the ABCs of faith. That's a pretty good idea. I might put that on. But yeah, do follow us on YouTube. You can hit the button right on our bio and go to the YouTube channel and follow it. And we can get to 1,000 followers, and we can go live from the street and do fun stuff that way. Because YouTube wants you to have 1,000 before you can go live from your mobile device, which is arbitrary and stupid. I don't get it. But excuse me, you can follow us on Twitter, on FB. I hate FB so much I don't even want to say their name. But we are on FB and Instagram. And we've started a Discord. If anyone knows how we should use our Discord, because we're not using it right now because we're old farts and we don't know what that is. The cool kids do it. And the hub's going to help us, I think. Atheist Hub. Try to get that rolling, but we are on Discord. And what else?
Just the podcast.
And the podcast. Yeah, check out the podcast on YouTube. I mean, on iTunes and Spotify, and I think Stitcher too, and some of these iHeartRadio, some of these other little apps have it too. But yeah, find us everywhere and follow us everywhere, and you too can ride the Atheist Underground. Is it time to go?
Done? Let's give it 30 seconds so that.
Yeah. Any last comments? Question it in. And
no, I meant because it cuts off. So we learned that it cuts off the video, so you probably won't even hear this. So let's give it 30 seconds.
All right. Love you all. Long time. See you later.
if you want to shut off the.
I'll shut off the YouTubes. Thanks everybody for hanging out on the tubes. Appreciate you, and I wish I could figure out why my comments don't come up. But take it easy. We'll see you Wednesday night.